First up, a week after a blast near Delhi's iconic Red Fort claimed 13 lives, a self-recorded video of bomber Umar Mohammad has emerged in what is arguably the first peek into the thought process of a Delhi bomber. This video shows him talking about bombing and martyrdom. In the video, Omar says, and I quote, "One of the very misunderstood concepts is the concept of what has been labeled as suicide bombing. It is martyrdom operation known in Islam," unquote. Remember, Omar, a doctor originally from Pulwama, is the prime accused in the 10/11 Delhi blast case, which killed 15 people and injured several others. The blast near the Red Fort is said to have been plotted and executed by white-collar module of Jaish-e-Mohammed. We have Vishnu Shom, who will break this down for us and what this tells us, what this video tells us about the trend of educated youth being indoctrinated and as a result the evolving terror threat facing India. Over to you, Vishnu.
Radhika, thank you very much. Well, what we will show our viewers in just a few moments from now is one of the most horrific videos which has emerged, which actually shows you the face of terror himself and a spiel from this man, Umar. He's one of the primary accused in the Red Fort blast, in which at least 13 people have lost their lives. In this video, he talks about suicide and martyrdom. It is likely to be take one or one of many takes of videos. He's clearly trying to create content in trying to espouse his thoughts on terror. The reason we are broadcasting this is because it gives our viewers an idea of the nature of the threat that India now faces, how extremely educated people, and you'll hear him speaking in perfect English in this video, are able to elucidate their thoughts, are able to articulate their thoughts on terror and what this potentially means for us. Before I go ahead anymore, let's listen in to what he says.
One of the very misunderstood concept is concept of what has been labeled as suicide bombing. One of the very misunderstood concept is concept of what has been labeled as suicide bombing. It is martyrdom operations, and it is being known in Islam. There are multiple contraindications, but there are multiple arguments that have been brought against it. Martyrdom operations: when a person presumes that he is going for sure die at a particular place at a particular time, he goes against the presumption that a particular is going to die in a particular situation. It's not, we don't have situation.
Dr. Tara Karthar, Yashwardhan Jha Azad join us. Thanks very much for being with us. Yashwardhan Jha Azad, let me come to you first, sir. You would have heard this video. What does this indicate to you in terms of the level of indoctrination, the level of education obvious over here? Is this some sort of a new face of terror that we are seeing? Homegrown, but obviously with links to Pakistan and elsewhere.
Well, it's a very chilling face of educated terror, let me say that. But Vishnu, if you remember, the youth which went from Kerala after the indoctrination done by the ISIS on the internet,
yes.
Of those who traveled over there, some of them died in the battlefields and some of them came back out of fear. And when they were interrogated, they said how luring the campaign was on the internet. And they were all educated youth, from medical, dentistry and all these places. And, when they were being indoctrinated, they were told, what this guy is saying is exactly what they said. They said that it's a purified form of existence they are going into, of Islamic existence. And this man, that is why when he says, this is a chilling aspect, that he talks about his own suicide bombing. He's not talking about the damage being caused. So it's a higher stage elevation of this. This is a completely what you call indoctrinated, completely, converted individual. And that's why this module has been very, very dangerous, I would say. And by the
But
way,
Mr. Azhar, let me ask you this, sir. You've tracked terrorism, along with some of our finest, police officials and investigators for so long. What really strikes me is that this is a younger generation of terrorists who are as, if not more educated than any that we have seen, who use social media to articulate their thoughts in a very effective manner. And the fact that we've got a young generation is what really worries me. It's not that terrorism has gone away, but this element of radicalization among doctors who are meant to save lives, these are all youngsters. That's what is, to me, to be really shocking.
I've always maintained, Vishnu, that the kind of engagement that we have at the political level, say by the chief ministers and others, they are not engaging the youth. They are not engaging the middle class. So they feel absolutely aloof. See, for example, what you said is so important that in Al-Falah University, when this was going on for 2 years, rather 2.5 years, the doctors were going in a fleet of cars, going to Noor, getting ammonium nitrate in batches, and people were quiet. Either they were quiet out of fear or they were quiet out of complicity, but nobody felt it important to sort of talk to a police official or to somebody. That tells you that how we are losing in terms of engagement with the youth. So obviously with this kind of a distancing which is happening, so then people are there. And by the way, the last point which I want to mention is, Vishnu, if you see, there are 3 Maulvis who are very important in this. One is in Jammu and Kashmir, one is in Faridabad, and the other is somewhere in UP. Now, these are people who have the capacity to be able to engage the youth. So if you are not going to engage them, well, there are other people to engage them. And that's why it is extremely important that the fight in de-radicalization has to be done at all levels. It cannot be left to the police and the intelligence agencies. And you're right, this is the chilling face for the educated.
And it just strikes me, and Tara, come in on this, and it's a very basic question. People who have spent an entire number of years training to save lives, many of them are toppers, they've done well, becoming a doctor is extremely difficult, have chosen the path of killing people. To me, this seems most shocking. And young people like this, your preliminary thoughts, I've got more detailed questions for you.
See, I completely am with Mr. Azad on this. The whole Islamic State, ideology is based on this. I mean, all of them. They believe they've shifted that Islamic concept of martyrdom, which is in warfare. They have a concept of dying in war. That has been shifted to suicide bombing against innocents, right? So that concept has been turned on its head. Has it been done before? Yes, it's been done before. Has it been done by educated young people? Yes, it's been done, including, by the way, he was not a bomber, but he was from Srinagar. I remember this case. He went and studied in Brisbane, and he turned into a completely radicalized person. So the youth is particularly prone to this. And like I said earlier, youth, educated people are prone. Now, I want to tell you one thing, Vishnu. You remember Sri Lanka also had suicide bombers. It was not religious. So it comes from a sense of alienation. It comes from a hatred towards society. That is when you're vulnerable. And that is what we need to deal with when we say dealing with the youth. And I completely agree, the Maulvis have to be taken on board. Religious leaders have to face this upfront, that there is something you are doing which is wrong. And you're not giving the youth a chance to come out of this whole Islamic State ideology, which we didn't create. That was created by the US bombing of God knows how many states they bombed. The ideology came from somewhere else. And if Mr. Adad will remember that for years we were so proud that no Indians joined any of these organizations. It's only now. Why is it now?
Mr. Azad, go ahead.
Yes, I think this is a very, very important point, that why is this happening now? I mean, in the last 2 years, this module was building up. And Vishnu, imagine just that there was just no contact, nothing. Nobody felt it obligated even to inform anyone. And see, in the 9/11 attack, when the software engineers and the pilots and all those who were involved, they were being trained in Germany for so many months. So this part of the radicalization is something so extremely serious, which has not been given the right attention. So far, we have been talking about radicalization as just another police feature. This is to be done. Now, this module has two very, very serious aspects. One is, of course, tracing all the linkages to the various states. And I'm so scared even about that Raisin one, in which you had another doctor from Telangana. Remember?
The frightening one, and we don't talk about this. If that ricin gas and castor oil, which goes into its manufacture or production, was located in reasonably large, if that got out, it's dispersible, it's air dispersible. If it was deployed in the vent of, let us say, a subway or whatever it is, you're looking at a mass fatality event. And these are not just bombers. These are people looking to end lives in the most insidious ways possible. This is war on India at a level that is truly frightening. That's my thought. Mr. Azad, go ahead.
Yes, and and the worst part of ricin, it doesn't have any antidote. I remember this was used in London, I think.
In Tokyo, wasn't it, sir? In Tokyo, wasn't it also used?
Somewhere one Bulgarian was killed, and so this is frightening. That's what I'm saying. And if you look at these two modules, the build-up is so threatening. I'm still worried. There are universities which are like Al-Falah, maybe bad university, good university. That's a different thing altogether. But why is it that they don't feel obligated or concerned or emotionally attached to anybody to say anything else? That is the extremely worrying part. And I'm wondering that after this investigation reaches its logical conclusion, then you have to talk to these Maulvis. What is wrong? Who are the people who have been coming to your classes? What are the kind of things you are teaching? There are good educated Muslims who are taking cudgels against this, saying that Islam does not warrant this. Let's get them forward. Let's let them talk to the community. This is what we need today. There are so many most of them are good people, and they are willing to talk. But should we engage them? Then only they will come out. And that's the most important message I would like to give.
Tara, let's talk a little bit about the Jaish-e-Mohammed. They've been associated with the Pahalgam terror attack in which 26 innocent people were killed a few months back. Pulwama, 40 CRPF Jawans were killed. That resulted in India hitting Balakot. They've been linked to the Parliament attack of 2001. They've been linked to the Uri attack, after which India did surgical strikes in 2016. They've been linked to the Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Assembly car bombing of 2001. I could go on. Could you tell our viewers a little bit more about this group and Maulana Masood Azhar?
See, Masood Azhar, as you know, he was released from India in exchange for prisoners, and that whole episode, I think, hardened this group to an extent where they were hell-bent on creating problems. Where they were also interestingly tried to, assassinate Musharraf. That's a different sort of, issue that we need to look at. So it is I won't say Pakistan doesn't have control, because after that episode, they quickly regained control of this group. I mean, there was a series of quiet disappearances and things, they regained control. Now, this group, after this whole, we brought in this pressure, Pakistan terrorism, that focus came on Pakistan. Then they started using names like Terrorist Resistance Fund, this PSS, which has claimed stupidly claimed the Naugam blast, which was not at all a terrorist incident. So now they're trying to get this sort of a quote-unquote secular phase. So they are capable of reinventing themselves at different times. But when you dig a little, it's Jaish-e-Mohammed or Lashkar-e-Taiba.
Right.
Now
all right, we've got a psychologist with us who joins us as well. Tara, I'll come back to you in a moment. Let's just go across now and listen in. Go ahead.
Joined by Namrata Ori, who is one of the very renowned psychologists, and she will decode frame by frame so as to how Umar's movements are. Namrata ji, if you can please first tell that the picture that we are talking about, the 10 seconds, first 10-second clips, where he's talking about suicide bombing and how normal it is. What do you observe in his body language?
His body language is naturally being there because he must have scripted the thing that before he actually do that. He's trying to remember what he thought and he's very confident in what he has actually scripted down. He's trying to convince the audience that whatever he has done and whatever he's going to do is absolutely correct and well algorithmic and programmed. And I think he's very confident in his thought process also.
In the body language, we are also seeing that, he's not having an eye contact. He's either looking down or somewhere upwards. What does it show?
He basically is trying to make himself clear very naturally because it is not the artificial kind of a talk that he is doing here. He is already brainwashed by someone or by the thought process that he has come here for. He's trying to convince the youngsters and the people following the path that he is justified by doing the bombing and by being the human bomb. And his body language, just because he's not making the eye contact, he's constantly moving because inside he's not very comfortable with his body as well. So this is what it is showing.
So can we just play the video, and once you can explain that, what is he all thinking? Is it a scripted video, do you think? Has he rehearsed about this video multiple times, or is it a very, out of the moment, very as instant video? If you can just look at the picture and point out through your finger.
It is not an instant video, I would say.
Why?
Since it has already been shot in takes, this is what I observe, and also the video has been scripted in his mind several times. So before he look at the view that he's taking, he's actually moving the camera here and there. Somewhere he.
That's the end of the video, yeah.
Okay, so somewhere he must have had a long self-conversation before he actually shot the video because he wanted to convey the message very clearly to the audience. And he wanted to convey the message that he's very much justified and his body language is very much confident because he knows.
So he was prepared in his mind so as to what he has to do, and that is what his body language is showing. And multiple times he must have thought what he has to say. That's what we have, picked up from the body language and what the psychologist is telling. Back to you.
Tejasri, thank you very much for sort of explaining that with the psychologist. Let me come back to Yashwardhan Azad, and sir, it just strikes me that anybody who would make a video like this for public consumption or consumption of whatever group obviously would know that it would be tracked at some stage and that they're obviously prepared, at being arrested or taken down. This man had obviously reached that conclusion before he made that, and he seemed to be okay with it, right?
Some of the videos which we have seen about such indoctrinated people, they speak in the same language. You're absolutely right. That they are, there's something going on in their brain, and it seems that they are just parroting it out. While the others I have seen are very aggressively articulating right in the front. Both are kind of, self-defenses, but it shows a mind which is completely captured. And that is what the dangerous part is, because here these are the people who appear to be so determined that they cannot be deflected. One small point, Vishnu, about the Jaish-e-Mohammed. The car-borne ID attack, which took place in J&K, which you were talking about, J&K Assembly.
Yeah.
And I remember my batchmate Ashok Bhan was the brave IG who reached the spot. He also got a gallantry medal. And when this Red Fort attack took place, that's why I surmised at that time itself that it looks like a signature of Jaish-e-Mohammed. And that's why, irrespective of the fact that whether this man was accidentally hanging around there or not, and I said it is a terrorist act because of the timing, place, and it carried the marks of Jaish-e-Mohammed. And incidentally, it will be interesting for Tarakarta to know that about the attack on Musharraf, I saw both the places, and which the Pakistani police officers were very happy to show me when I had gone in advance of the cricket team to see whether it's feasible or not in 2004.
Okay.
So Jaish-e-Mohammed, by the way,
Jaish-e-Mohammed, you feel that was certainly something, a group which was involved over here. I'd like to thank you both for the moment, for joining us. I need to move on to some other aspects of this breaking news coming in. We've got my colleague Pradeep, who joins us now, as also Tanushka. They've been looking at various angles of this. Pradeep, in terms of the investigation itself in Jammu and Kashmir, where are investigators now? Do they believe they have closed the loop? In other words, has this cell been shut down, or are there still others who may be involved?
Vishnu, for the past 2-3 days, I had been interacting with all the security agencies. What they are saying that this is just a tip of an iceberg. As you had been asking this question to your panelists also, because security forces can deal with the time bomb ticking on the roadside, but what to do with the time bomb that is ticking in the mind? And here in this 1 minute 20-second video, that's quite visible that how this man is trying to not only justify his suicide bombing, but he's also trying to glorify and also using this as an opportunity to further recruit a youngster. So that's what actually is worrying for the security agencies. They feel that they have to look into all the aspects. It's not only that these 4 or 5 individuals were working for Jaish-e-Mohammed terror module and they were trying to inflict maximum casualty. There can be many more people, because you can see that how he, to what level he is radicalized. And the second thing more important is that you can see the similarity between, as we were talking, a panelist was also talking about Jaish-e-Mohammed's signature. There's similarity between 2019 Pulwama bombing and this bombing also. Car-borne IED was used, and that time also Adil Dar had made a similar kind of a video before he carried out the act of bombing. But the only difference was that he was school dropout, and this time there are educated youth. Because reason being, why now the educated youth are involved? Nobody will ever have an inkling that people who is wearing a white apron, he will ever think of taking lives of the people, because they are supposed to be a part of noble profession who will always try to ensure that they are saving lives. So that is the one thing. And the second important thing is that if you look at it, so it's not surprising. I think just because problem is that we have a very short memory. In the month of February in Rawalakot area, there was a rally in which Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar terrorists and Hamas terrorists, they were on one same stage. They were on the same podium. And that time also, some people said that unnecessarily we should not sensationalize. There's nothing to worry about. But you can see now the signs are quite visible. We have seen how they seem to be influenced with that Hamas ideology, and a similar thing is happening. So that's what actually is happening. I think now they are looking into all the angles.
Hold on a second. Let me just go across to Tanushka, who joins us as well. In terms of, the raids which are happening at the Al-Falah hospital, could you tell us, the latest on that?
Precisely, yes. So the Enforcement Directorate is conducting coordinated raids across 25 locations in links with the Al-Falah University. I'm currently present at the Al-Falah University's Faridabad campus, and we do know that in Okhla as well, the university headquarters is also being raided underway by the Enforcement Directorate. Now, these raids are in connection with the fraudulent activities with respect to the funding and investments that the Al-Falah University has been involved in with respect to cheating, forgery of documents. And we also understand that the Vice Chancellor of Al-Falah University, Javed Ahmed Siddiqui, has been involved in fraudulent activities and funding scams of up to rupees 7.5 crores. And we also know that his brother, Hamood Ahmed Siddiqui, has been arrested by Madhya Pradesh police in Hyderabad, again with links to fraudulent activities, and the searches are currently being conducted under the PMLA Act, that is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So there are, of course, investigation underway, especially with respect to the discrepancies in salary disbursements of the employees here, as in the salary should go into from official banking channels, and there's been only minimal involvement of official banking channels. There are no HR or human resources records that have been maintained. There is no consistent filing of the EPFO, that is the provident funding as well, done by the university. So a lot of gaps and discrepancies discrepancies in terms of their finances, and also a big question mark on the funding. How is it that these three doctors were operating and formulating this entire terror module out of a university campus of a medical college and hospital? Where were they even getting their funding from? And the entire funding scenario of Al-Falah University and its 9 shell companies also at this point are under complete scrutiny of the Enforcement Directorate. Back to you.
All right, Tarushka and Pradeep, thank you both very much for being with us. So the investigation continuing at various levels, this on a day when there's been this frightening video which has emerged. You can see that there on your screen of Omar, one of the primary suspects in this case. It's a suicide video. It's not directly linked necessarily to the Red Fort case, but he's talking about martyrdom and suicide and what it's a part of. He's trying to talk through what he believes in. This is a doctor supposed to be saving lives, ended up being a terrorist who killed so many. That's the nature of the threat that we are looking at. A young doctor, one among many, choosing to do this. There's a lot for us to reflect on. For the moment, this short break.
All right, thank you, Vishnu, for that. Also, there have been a lot of details as far as murky money trail of Al-Falah University is concerned. Of course, multiple properties connected to Al-Falah is being investigated, is being raided by Enforcement Directorate officials. And as per ED, the agency that is looking at it, all companies were registered at single address. That's the information. And there was also a common mobile phone and emails that were used for all of these companies. And sources also stating that EPFO filings of the group were missing and there was minimal salary being distributed via banking channels. So a lot of revelations as far as the connections of Al-Falah University is concerned, and the money trail as well, which is all linked to the Red Fort bombing. One is that all companies were registered at single address. There was a common mobile phone and emails used, and sources also saying EPFO filings of the group were missing and there was minimal salary being distributed via banking channels. Just a week after the suicide blast that tore through the busy Red Fort stretch, killing 15 people and injuring dozens, investigators have stumbled upon chilling clues that may redefine the very nature of the attack. A shoe has been recovered from the tire of the I-20 car that was used by Omar in the blast. Questions being raised that did Omar used a shoe bomb. Inside the shoe, investigators discovered a metallic substance and further forensic tests revealing traces of the high-grade explosive TATP. In a separate breakthrough, authorities have also found proof that explosive had been placed under the car's rear seat. Meanwhile, intelligence inputs suggesting that Jaish-e-Mohammed group had recently procured a large quantity of TATP, reportedly for a planned attack.